Thank you. Crazy people, crazy people. We're going to have a good time. Do you mind if we have a good time? Is that okay? But I'm going to also, at the end, share probably one of the hardest times of my life and what I went through and what I did. Because I'm going to be talking about how you can have overwhelming joy through the ups and downs of life. You do have downs, don't you, every now and then? I was just saying, someone said to me the other day, is it true you just had surgery? I said, yes, again. I've had both knees replaced, the hip replaced. The knee was just replaced May 13th. The hip was replaced last year. Now, they said my rotator cuff is totally gone. And they have to, it's just not a rotator cuff. I need the shoulder replaced. And then the other hip is kind of good because it's ripped. But then I have 2 spine surgeries. This has all been the last couple of years. And so the doctor told me the other day when I went, because I can't lift my arm any higher than this right now. And it doesn't stop me, by the way. I don't stop. I've not missed a day of work. Still doing everything. I'm back out speaking once a month. I don't go out. I'm not a speaker. I'm a Christian. I'm a wife. I'm a mother, and I'm a grandmother. And I hope a friend, because I want to be a friend to people. And I'm a teacher. I pray I am at Hyles-Anderson College. In fact, those of you that went to Hyles, how many of you went to Hyles-Anderson College? Raise your hand. Let's say, oh, good night. I probably had you in class with Mrs. Evans, for sure. That would have been great. I was her assistant for 25 years. And this February, I will celebrate 50 years of teaching at the college. And that was my dream, is I could make it to live, until then. And that's the plan, we'll see. But anyway, I get kind of tickled at myself because more things happen to me than normal, I'm sure. But when I started having all these body parts replaced, I started thinking, what's left? And I thought, I can't donate. There's nothing I can donate because my kidneys are damaged. I have a kidney disease. They said I would die at age 40, and I messed up, and I'm 78. And all 4 doctors that diagnosed me have passed away. So don't mess with me, please, and say I'm going to die, and the Lord's let me live longer. But the other day, Dr. Plank is my surgeon for the knee and the hip, not the knee and the shoulder, and he said, JoJo, you know what's happening, don't you? I said, well, did you find something else wrong with me? He goes, you're running out of body parts, And then he said, well, you're now the bionic woman. So I thought you all should know that I'm the bionic woman. You should go with me through the airport. Just to go with me to the airport as an episode anyway. Not too long ago, it's been 6 months ago, I went through in the TSA, is that what they're called, TSA? He said, do you have a gun? I said, yes, sir, I do. He said, with you? I said, you didn't ask me it was with me. No, it's at home. He said, your knee, you have a gun. And I said, it's called an artificial knee. He said, and they bring all these people over, and they say, you can never go through the thing, Oh, I can't raise his arm. Like that. Bring her aside. Bring her aside. I get this all the time. But it was so funny. I had 3 or 4 and 1 Chicago policeman. So in other words, I have a lot of body parts now that are missing. My grandson announced in the junior high school a few years ago, would everyone please pray? Please, everyone pray for my Nana. I'm Nana Moffitt. He said, we've got to pray that someone dies so they can give her a new part. And I thought, they don't die for this, a knee, it's metal. So I'm not praying for people to die. But I'm glad to be alive. I'm glad to be here. You're going to have challenges. Last week, I have a kidney disease. I do real well with it, but I'm trying to share all this with you to see how this fits into here. Your spirit can be pulled so easily. About a week and a half ago, I started running 103 temperature, bleeding internally, and it was another my kidney disease that caused an infection. And it was a tough one this time. It was tough. I didn't think I'd make it here, to even be here this week. And then it affected everything, the intestinal tract, even through yesterday. I've not had solid foods for quite a while, but I just keep on plugging along. You want to keep on keeping on. And go to the doctor, don't get me wrong. Dr. Dennis Streeter is the one who's been so good for me. He just took 8 vials of blood last week. So he's going to call me with the results. I asked him if he could wait till after the conference. If you're going to die, let me just know tomorrow, and I don't live that way. But I wanted to use the word that I love is care. Care, C-A-R-E. And anyone who's been in a class with me, it's nothing original. I always learn from someone else. Mrs. Colson, I saw you over there, and I thought, what a teacher she has been to me. Her spirit, you had a hip that was replaced, if I'm not mistaken, and then she fell not too long ago, passed out, and had her arm, and she was in a sling and her foot, and she's just getting back to church, but she's here. And these are people I watch because I need you, and I need your encouragement, and you keep going, and you help me a lot more than you know. But the word care, I use an acrostic, C-A-R-E. Anyone who's been in a class with me knows what I'm going to say. C, in every avenue of life. Every avenue of life. Hi, Debbie, I see you there. And your daughter, I'm so glad I love Debbie. Debbie, stand up just for a moment, would you? Debbie, this is Ray Young's wife, Debbie. Debbie worked on our bus route when you were in high school, right? I love you dearly. And she came, and she's grown up a little bit. I mean, not too much older, just a little bit. But how do I have so many people that have influenced me? Jean Smith, right here. Jean is in row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold your hand up, Jean. She is the one why I'm in Christian service. She's the one that encouraged me and loved me. And I went on a bus route, 59 years ago, I guess now. It's 58, 59 years ago. And it's been a friend to me. Can you imagine me coming to First Baptist Church, walking in the door of First Baptist Church with the shortest miniskirt on you could have had? I wasn't trying to be immoral. I was a model. I was unsaved. I was Roman Catholic. And she took me under her wing. And I'm sure when she thinks about it, what I was like, false eyelashes, the hair up, everything like that. And took me under her wing and has been an unconditional friend for me for how many years, Jane? 58 years. Isn't that something? Still, she'll call me when nobody knows what's going on, and she'll just send me a text. I just want you to know I'm praying for you right now. I mean, just a friend of friends. Let's be a friend like her. And I wonder where I'd be today had you not taken. Right next to her is Kathy Lee. Kathy Lee and I share grandkids. Kathy Lee's a pastor's wife in Talk Village, Illinois, and a dear, precious friend. But you all have made a difference in my life, and I mean that. It's fun to share grandkids, isn't it? But anyway, the word care, in every avenue of life, you ready? C-A-R-E. C, be concerned. Whoever it is, be concerned about them. Your husband, bus route, friends here, see, be concerned about them. Someone's going through a rough time. We've had more people, and Mrs. Colston, how many people? Isn't it unbelievable the people sick right now and in hospitals? And Charles Ginsky right now, who actually probably would say died. His heart stopped. They brought him back. He's in a rest home right now. I mean, just the people that go through heartaches, and we have an opportunity to be concerned. How? A, be attentive. Call them, write them, go by and see them. His wife, Sherry, that's kind of rough to be in a room all by yourself in a rest home. A rehab, I guess you call it a rehab center. And it doesn't look real good. But to encourage these people, be concerned, be attentive, reach out of yourself. I got this one day in a restaurant. I was sitting and I thought, boy, that's what I want to be, a care Christian. Be concerned, be attentive, reach out. Be inconvenienced. Brother Hiles said you're not helping someone to your first inconvenience, but when you love somebody, you don't even know you've been inconvenienced. Wouldn't that be good if we could all be that way? You love people so much you don't even know you've been inconvenienced. You just love them. And then lastly, E is a big word. E, eager and enthusiastic. Haven't you ever done something? You care, you're concerned, you're attentive, you reach out, but you're not with the right spirit. Sure, I'll do it if I guess if nobody else is going to do it, I guess I could do it, I don't know, okay. But with the right spirit, eager and enthusiastic. And that's what I want to be, and I thought I'd share that little thought with you. And number 1 is to rejoice always. That's what I want to share tonight. You say, I don't feel like it. Fake it till you make it. You don't have to be like this, but could you put a smile on your face? A smile is contagious. Did you know that? So is the flu. I'd rather pass that on. A bad spirit is contagious. It really is. You're going to have things happen to you, ladies, and I'll be going into that. But I just want to give a little preview on this. And running out of body parts. I keep thinking about it. Not this building, the Jack House Memorial Auditorium. These are my $1.25 glasses from Dollar Tree. I keep thinking I'm going to lose them. I have probably 7 pairs everywhere. In my classroom, my office, my car. Do you ever do that, lose things? They're only $1.25. I just wish they changed their sign from Dollar Tree to $1.25 Tree. Still looking for that, but anyway. But things are going to happen to you. Rejoice evermore. 1 Thessalonians 5:16. I love that. You're going to have things go wrong. Pastor school, many years ago, they had a tent across the street from the Jack House Memorial Auditorium. Do any of you remember the big tents we'd had? Is anyone as old as me, maybe? Or young, but just read it? And the big tent. Mrs. Evans, I was her assistant teacher at Hollis Anderson for 25 years before she went to heaven. And they had the big tent. Well, I taught her classes. She came over to do the ladies' sessions, and then I was going to speak. So I came over. I went in the Jack House Memorial Auditorium, and I thought, it's been a long morning. I'm going up to the restroom to use the restroom, the second floor of the Jack House. And I got up there, and I'm in there. I'm by myself, quiet as anything, because they were switching. And all of a sudden, I heard men's voices. Hey, what are you doing? Hey, what are you doing? What they did that I didn't know because I wasn't there, they switched the ladies' restrooms to men's. What would you do? I picked up my legs till I had Charlie horses. I had my legs up. I'm sitting there thinking, when are they all going to leave? Oh, please leave. In the meantime, they just kept singing in the tent, thinking, where's JoJo? And I'm just up there curled up. And all I can think about is, what do? Walk out and say, hey, move over, please. I'd like to use that sink. You know, the things that happen. More things happen to me in restrooms than probably should be allowed. Okay, Estelle, are you in here? Estelle Smith, by any chance? I think she went to another session. But Estelle I have witnesses to this stuff. I don't go and hallucinate at night and write this stuff out. But in fact, that's what the 3 books I've written. This is a big deal to me. My 3 books have been out of print for a few years now. Grace to Grow is going to publish all 3 of my books. And I can buy them from them to take them out. So I'm so excited about that because I thought it ended with the books. And now they're printing, I guess, right at this point now. But anyway, I was going to North Carolina with Estelle Smith. And Brother Jack Cox was the pastor there, and now he's retired. Oh, I was so excited about it. Estelle and I got in there, and I always use the restroom before I get in the car because it's not a long way, but it's a ways there, and I've been traveling. I'm there. All I remember is this, that when I sat down, I didn't know this, but they had just cleaned the restrooms and they left the seat up. So when I sat down, I really sat down. I actually went to the bottom of the toilet. I'm sitting in there with my dress just floating in the toilet. And I overflowed the toilet because when I went down, it swished up. And Estelle, the water's going underneath her stall, and she's saying, what are you doing? I said, and I was laughing so hard. I said, you're not going to believe it. She's with you. I bet I would believe it. And I said, the toilet just overflowed. She goes, why did you overflow it? I said, oh, because I wanted to. What do you mean, why did? They had just washed, they put the seat up. Well, then I'm tickled. I'm tickled. It's a silk blend dress. Mrs. Hiles was speaking. She was already at the church. And so I'm thinking, I had a pretty dress. I finally had a pretty dress someone gave me, and it was silky. Probably, Jean, you probably bought it for me, because you're always doing stuff like that. And here, the dress is sopping wet. I'm in the restroom, and the hair dryer doesn't work. So now I'm dripping dress, and we're just sitting there laughing our heads off. We get to the church, and we called to tell them we're running a little late now because JoJo fell into the toilet. Now, how do you explain that? There are ladies standing out there with hair dryers to dry me off, but I didn't have time because I was the next speaker. So I just walked in like nothing, and it's the material, I don't know what was underneath, like a lining. It's just dripping as I'm walking. And I saw Mrs. Hiles, and I thought, why couldn't I be a little bit like her just one time? And I sat down, and she said, oh, JoJo. You know how she talks so kind? Oh, JoJo, your dress is so pretty. And I said, and it's real cool, too. It's real cool. When I got up to go, she thought I had an accident, because when I got up, the whole seat was wet. And she said, I just felt so sorry for you because I thought you probably got nervous. I mean, folks, this is not where you want to follow you wherever you go, but it does. It does follow me. But it makes a joyful life for sure. Anyway, rejoice evermore. And there's so many things I thought. I mean, just like, if we can't rejoice, ladies, what can we do? Like I said, you have to turn it around. That's all my 3 books are, stories of trauma turned around and finding the joy in them. Don't you need to laugh? Boy, I do. Roy and I were going to Chesterton at Fairhaven Baptist School. They had a big wrestling tournament. And our son, Michael, he's now a policeman in St. John. I hope you don't meet him while you're here. He's a corporal for St. John. In other words, he'd be on the road. Do you know what I mean? One day I was going through St. John, and all of a sudden the light went on. Do you all react the same way? Oh, no. What did I do? Did I cross the line? Was I going fast? Because he always says, you're going to get a ticket because you're too slow. And all of a sudden I pulled over, and your heart, you can just feel it pumping through your neck. And I'm thinking, oh no. And I said, and I looked, it's Michael. I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm trying to get your attention. I said, you have my attention. I said, I'm going to have a heart attack. What do you need? He said, I've been trying to call you. You're not answering. I said, well, my phone was turned down. He said, can you babysit tonight? If I don't die, in the meantime, I'll babysit tonight. Now, that girl now is 19, going to be 20 years old at the end of the month. So that's been a few years ago. But you're going to have things happen. If you just turn it around, ladies, find the joy in it. There is joy in the rough times and the hard times. I thought we went to that tournament in Fairhaven, and Roy and I were there. I was very pregnant with one of the kids, and I wasn't joking. With our third baby, I gained 83 pounds. The night before the baby was born, I ate 6 donuts at Dunkin' Donut. When I ate the 6th one, Roy, as kind as he could say it, said, don't you think you've had enough? And I went, no, I don't. I'd have eaten people if they were cooked. I was so hungry. And that did happen to me. That took a year to get rid of that weight, a year. How did you lose it? I played a little game. I said, I'm going to ask Roy if he thinks I'm a little heavy. He came home. I had one of his favorite meals, massage his shoulders. And I said, Roy, he goes, what, honey? I said, because we realized I was over 200 pounds. I went from a size 10 to a 20 all by myself in 9 months. And I said, do you think I'm a little heavy? And Roy's very honest. He said, a little? Yeah. And I promised the Lord that if he thought I was a little heavy, I would lose it. Took me a year, but I got rid of it. Well, we were at this meet at Fairhaven, and he went up 2 bleachers. Well, you're big and pregnant, 9 months I was. When you're that big, people just kind of go, don't fall on me, you know. And so I made my way. A man, an older gentleman, probably my age, 78, helped me up to the second pew. Roy was already up there. They had 3 mats going on, 3 different matches, this big tournament. Michael's supposed to be right there in the middle. And so I sat down. We made it. The guy that was supposed to wrestle, and one of them forfeited, so they moved Michael over one. I went, oh. And Roy said, that's my husband, he said, you're fine, just stay here. I said, I came to watch our son. He goes, but you're okay. He left me and went. I thought, I can do this. I can do this. I tried going down, and you feel awkward because you're so pregnant. And I'm walking, and these people are trying to help me. And I got to the bottom. And I thought, I need to move quickly. They're starting. Move quickly, JoJo, quickly. And I started walking, but I didn't realize the mats were different heights. And the mat I was going to was elevated higher than the one I was on. As I quickly moved, I tripped, and I went flying through the air. Like the flying nun. And here I'm carrying this baby, and my husband's just watching us horrified. What is she doing? And as I'm going like this, this man heard me kind of, and he turned around. I fell on top of the man. It didn't look good at all. It didn't look good at all. I'm now on top of the man, flat. He's laying down. I'm on top of him. His wife didn't know what was going on. She went, ah! My son won the match. I think it was like it was a secret weapon. But you're going to have things happen, but you still want to rejoice. You want to rejoice. Number 2, count your blessings. Count your blessings. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits. Psalm 103:2. You're going to have many, 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 many blessings, many things wonderful. But you're also going to just need to stop and count your blessings. Count your blessings when you don't feel like going, keep on keeping on. I am not saying when you're sick, go. But there are times I don't feel so hot, but I just keep on going. And I wondered who I'm going to be able to help as I'm going through what I'm going through right now. Who could you help? Everything that you're going through today, God allowed it. And there's some tough times. I'll be mentioning some in just a little bit. But there's some tough times. You're going to go through things that you just say, God, okay. You realize that God chose you. He knew you can handle it. And if you quit, you're still going through it. Why don't you stay there, finish it, and then find out what God's going to do to let you help somebody else? I wonder how many people, when we lost our 2 babies, one actually lost in miscarriages, and one I delivered in our bathroom. You can imagine that. It was traumatic. They had already had at the college, they had a shower for me. Our staff, Christian woman and Mrs. Evans, they had a shower at Keeble's restaurant for me. We had bought all new furniture. It had been 10 years since we had a baby. We got a new bed and carpeting and everything. And I started bleeding, and I knew something was wrong. I went to Dr. Streeter and my husband and I, and he said, you're dilated. You're going to go into leave and can't have a miscarriage. And it was so traumatic for me. But I wondered how we've turned this into a ministry. Believe me, it was hard. It was very hard. But you know, when someone has a miscarriage or has a stillborn or has a very ill child, I try to get there quickly, just to try to encourage them. It doesn't take. If you can't get there, you can phone call. You can use the what do you call them? The text. You can do all that pretty easy. I love personal notes, little notes to send to people. But we've made it a ministry. I remember when there was a couple from our church many years ago. I'm referring to people who've been here. Mrs. Hassey, I bet you'll remember this. It was a young couple from the college that they were bathing their children, had 2 boys in a bathtub and a little girl. And the little boy, while she was doing the hair of the little girl in a different bathroom, one of the kids fell, bumped his head. And they were only like a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old. They were little ones, and the baby drowned. She was not gone that long, but long enough to find out that happening. Can you imagine the trauma of that? And she was just beside herself. Well, you know, we found out about it. We went out that night, and it was a real foggy day. I still remember it so clearly. It was a foggy night, but we couldn't get here fast enough to St. Margaret's Hospital, where all 6 of our children were born, and now it's closed, and they're taking it down. If any of you are here visiting, you'll see the hospital is pretty much gone. It is gone as far as usage. And I'll never forget that when I got the call. Well, you want to say, I'm sorry for you. No, we got in the car in the fog, drove to the hospital. And I'll never remember a day like that, because I'll never forget a day like that. They had my husband, the husband and wife said, Brother Moffitt, help us to make a decision if we should take the life support off. Well, you don't do that to somebody. You might guide them in decisions, but you don't make it for them. Do you follow what I'm saying? They'll blame you later on that you told us to do that. We were in a little private, like a meditation room, and praying together. And my husband prayed something like this. This has been probably 25 years ago. And probably nobody here may remember. I thought maybe Mrs. Hassey might. But I'll never forget that, how that lady was so beside herself. And then I started flashback when the showers and our babies and to go home to a room where everything's still there and you're not going to bring home a child, and what she would be going through in a different way, but similar. And my husband prayed, God, you take care of this. There's no decision to be made. You make the decision. No sooner he finished that prayer at the hospital, not far from here, and the lady came in and said, the baby's heart has stopped. On the life support, whatever they did, it stopped. It was no longer working. And she said that God chose our baby. God chose our baby. We went back to the room after they cleaned the baby up a little bit. They wanted to, fix the baby up a little bit and put a little cap on the baby. It was just a little over a year old. And it was totally a freak accident, because she's done this many times, bathing him in 2 different bathrooms. Just so happened he was climbing and fell and bumped his head, and the other one was too little to understand and went under the water. So she went out there, and she was sitting in a rocking chair. I remember this so clear. And she said, the nurse said, would you like to hold the baby? And she said, yes, I would. And then she looked at me and she said, Mrs. Moffitt, would you do me the honor of holding my baby? And that was one of probably the hardest things I've ever gone through. Because when I said, of course, and I held that baby and saw mine. Do you know what I mean? That's what I was envisioning, what mine would have looked like. And use whatever you're going through to help somebody else out. Don't get bitter, get better. Don't get bitter from it. But I started saying, count your blessings. Our son, Roy Jr. Roy Jr. is a blessing. We have 6 children. They're all in a marriage state. We have children, but Roy will never marry. When Roy was born, our first son, second child, Tina was first, and Roy, I'll never forget how excited we were at St. Margaret's Hospital. And they didn't let your dads in years ago. You knew that, didn't you? They don't let the dads in. They let just the mom. But he was outside the door, kind of in the hall, and he could hear them saying, it's a boy, it's a boy. And my husband's an athletic nut. He loves sports. And I was so excited. And then one day later, Dr. Rendell came in. I'm sure he's gone now, but he came in and he said, we need to run some tests. This is the next day. And I said, what do you mean test? Roy was, our first one was 6 pounds, 12 ounces. Roy was 8 pounds, 10 ounces, had a head of hair. They parted his hair, actually. When I brought him to church, I had to cut it because it was over the ears. I wanted him to look like a boy, so I had to cut his hair. I didn't have to, but I wanted to. And I'll never forget that. And he said, well, we believe there's some problems with your son. And I said, well, he's so big and looks so healthy. And he said, we believe he must have had maybe a rough day. But he said, we believe we need to run some tests. I said, what tests? He said, we believe I still remember, frustrated. He said, we believe your son's a dwarfed. Your son's retarded. His kidney, his liver, his spleen, and his heart are all enlarged. Your son will end up in a home someday. Can you imagine to be told that and you're by yourself? I said, this is a bad dream. And he said, so we're doing the test. Oh, I remember calling Dr. Streeter. I called him and told him what happened. He came right over. My husband came right over. And boy, that has been 35 surgeries later. Our son we were told, went to Children's Memorial the very first week of his life. And he was there, about 8 times intensive care his first year. He's had 35 surgeries. He'll never marry. He'll never have children. But what a blessing that boy is. I can't tell you what a blessing he is. He is on full disability. Whatever he makes, he gives it away pretty much. You kind of help him a little bit. But he's like this all the time. Hi, my mom's going to be at the conference today. Pray for my mom, will you? I know they'll love my mom. You can't help but love my mom. I mean, the kid. I don't give him drugs to make him say these things, but he seems like he likes me a lot. And it's just sweet how he thinks toward us. It really is. But I'll never forget that surgery where they went in, he can't close his mouth all the way. He was just malformed. I really will never know how Roy really looks until heaven. Maybe we'll see the whole thing. I don't know. But I'll never forget how when he made a decision, we looked at Dr. Green, Dr. Orville Green. Why would I remember that at Children's Memorial? That's 55 years ago. And when we decided that he was about 11, he decided to break the jaws. And actually, they thought they'd have to cut down the size of the tongue, and actually had to wire him shut. It was a horrible surgery, horrible. And I'll never forget when they said, well, you need to make a decision. And being the mother, I thought I should say, I said, I think Roy should make that decision. Because I thought Roy would say, no, not right now. We'll just do it another time. Well, he looked at the doctor, and he looked at us behind him, and he said, if it meant I could be where people don't make fun of me, and I can close my mouth, I'll take the surgery. Because kids didn't know, but they'd make fun of him the way he walked. He had rods in his legs. I can't explain all these had. But to break the jaws, and it was an unreal surgery. I remember that day, and I'm trying to show you about rejoicing during the hard times. When that happened that day, we got in early and saw Brother Hiles, by the way, before this time. He always guided us because we needed it. He said, JoJo and Roy, you know what? We're going to really see what you're made of. Everyone in that waiting room is going through the same thing that you're going through. What are you going to do about it? In a nice way. I said, I'm going to buy donuts, and I'm going to go in there and pass out donuts. I know I'm going to go do that. We will. He goes, good. And that's what we did. Went through the same procedure, came down with this thick notebook he had from all the surgeries. And he sits up. When the doors open up, they step, it opens up, and it's the last time you see him for that time. And the doors open up. He looked at me, and he said, Mama, I love you. Dad, I love you. And just remember, if I don't see you here, I'll see you in heaven. And then he said, you're not going to cry, are you, Mom? No. Not no. He went through, I went in the restroom, same procedure I've gone through, all these surgeries, and literally was sobbing. And then put cold compresses on my eyes and my face just so I could face the people. And then I walked out thinking what Brother Howe said. Everybody in there is going through the same thing, JoJo. Don't miss what you're supposed to learn from all this. Go help people. And so that's what we did. And many people saved that day, but it wasn't long into the surgery. They came out and said, your son is hemorrhaging. And then just keep us posted. That was 7 a.m. He didn't get out till 6 that night from intensive care and all, or the special unit, whatever it was. And I'll never forget, they came and they said, because I was so excited to have this over with. And they came and they said, your son is not stable. We can't stabilize him. And I said something I'll never forget. I said, can I please see him now? They said, well, we've got to clean him up and get him ready, and you can come in with my husband. I did. And I walked in there, and I didn't even recognize him because of breaking the jaws. He was so swollen, he looked like a monster. His eyes were puffed up, purple. He was on machines. You know, he couldn't talk. All I remember is his finger. There was a little thing on there that recorded his oxygen level. And I still remember that. And I went over to, I said, is that my son? They said, that's your son. I said, that's him? They said, yes. And I went over and I said, Roy, it's Mama. Roy, it's Mama. Roy, you fight. Don't you quit. Don't you give in to this. Roy, please, I love you. Please fight. Fight, Roy, fight, fight. And they said something that people don't usually say to me, but the nurse said, keep on talking. Keep on talking. Yeah. And then I kept talking and just trying to encourage him. After many minutes, they said, he's stable. He's stable. By the way, they said he'd live to his 12th birthday. Lord willing, in just a couple weeks, October 22nd, he'll turn 56 years old. I don't know about you, but you're going to have tough times. I don't share that story much, but I thought it's something to remember. No matter what you're going through, keep on keeping on with a smile. Find ways to help people. Find ways to care. I have a lot to give you, ideas. I want to give you some ideas, too. But anyway, count your blessings. Roy is definitely one of them. And I was thinking about Roy. Oh, while I'm there, he couldn't talk because whatever was down his throat, he couldn't talk. But he kept going, with this, that ET thing, whatever that's called, and I think that oxygen. And he's pointing like this. Not that, because he was tied down, if I'm not mistaken. He was on ties. And he's pointing. I said, what are you trying to tell me, Roy? What are you telling me? The little boy next to him in the bed was choking. I said, are you wanting me to help that boy? Isn't that how we should all be? No matter how tough the times are, go find someone to help. Realize whatever's in your life today, whatever it is. And I feel I'm a pretty joyful person. I feel like I am. But boy, you have hard times too. Trust in God. Trust in God. Number 3, trust in the Lord with all thy heart. My life verses, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord. You're going to have overwhelming joy. Losing 2 babies, overwhelming joy. Life expectancy, age 40, and I'm 78. I spoke to the juniors this afternoon, and the kids were trying to guess my age. That was funny. Bethany, where are you? Bethany, what was it? One girl said 45. I said, give her 2 candy bars. Gave her 2 candy bars. One said 80. I said, you're done, out. No, I didn't do that. But they were guessing kind of young. And I said, no, it's in the 70s. That's the age of my grandma. I said, I am a grandma. No, you're not. How come your hair's brown? It's called nice and easy, medium. And my husband doesn't want me to have gray hair. He likes someone today said, but you look so young. I said, don't get too close. The wrinkles. My kids call these happy lines. I found a solution for all this. Get a hot glue gun. It'll hurt for a minute, but just, yeah. I'll be a new person. Probably die the next day, too. But at least in the casket, I could look young, you know? Oh, don't want to think about caskets. Memory lane. Our funeral. See, here, you come to First Baptist, you can be born here and go and die. We have our own cemetery. And by the way, someone, by mistake, didn't mark our cemetery plot. And my husband's doing a funeral at Memory Lane and watched a man going down into our plot. Now that's a scary thing. Where am I going to go when I die? So I can't die now because some man, I know who he is too. But you can't say, stop, bring him back up. That's JoJo and Roy's spot. You don't do that. That's not proper at all. Not proper at all. But you're going to have things happen, ladies. Trust in God. And I remember from that, of things that have happened to us. And the doctors, 4 different doctors said, I would never live to my 40th birthday. But it's not funny. 3 of them we led to Christ. Dr. Ashback was my kidney doctor in that very back room there, just before he passed away. A doctor I've had over 30 years, a Jewish doctor. Pastor Wilkerson gave the plan of salvation. As many times as we've talked to him, Brother Larry Smith, my church, has talked to him, he got saved. Unbelievable. Brother Wilkerson said, well, Dr. Ashback, tell us about it. Just for sure you're going to heaven. Do you know that? He goes, I do. He says, how do you know it? He said, I just prayed the prayer when you gave it just a few minutes ago. So you have some wonderful things. These doctors, all 4 are in heaven today. It's just, my husband said, don't tell the next doctor that story, okay? Don't tell them that story, because they're not going to want to treat you because they think they're going to die too. But that's not how it goes. Just don't tell me I'm going to die. And so number 4, give generously. Give generously. Learn to give. It's a wonderful way to be a happy person, believe me. Acts 20:35, it's more blessed to give than it is to receive. Boy, that's a true statement. I've been a bus captain on Route 32. Our route, Tammy, I saw you. She and her husband, Brother Randy, our driver, have kept that route going when I've been off with all of this going on with me. They won't let me ride right now. We had one family, King, Queen, and Prince. Do you remember them? They rode, and they all sit on me, up here, on my shoulder, and on my lap. And they're all the cutest little black boys you've ever seen in your life. And they said, we need a name for you. I said, what's the name? They said, Prince, King, and, is that right? Prince, King, what was the other one I said? Prince, King, and, who said it? Who? Duke? Queen? King? Oh, yeah. Well, no, Queen was me. They named me Queen. They decided that but see, you can't ride a bus like that. Well, you can't ride a bus and you're not in good shape, for sure. But you're going to go through times. Those were some of the things that hit us. And then 16 years ago, my husband was diagnosed with cancer. And that has been one of the biggest traumas, believe me. 4 surgeries later, by mistake, took out the sphincter. In turn, you have to have a catheter the rest of your life to do a surgery that didn't take, and they had to cut him all the way up to remove because the urinaries, everything went up. The guy went through unbelievable, but he's here serving. He's our care pastor. Isn't that great? But during that time, believe me, it was not an easy time for us at all. Give generously, that's one I wanted to go on to. More things happen on the bus route. Give generously. We have a boy we're sending to Hammond Baptist right now. We're pitching in. Randy, I think everyone, the bus route is picking, Roy and I are pitching in. It's just one. And there's a little special girl that we're sending to school this year. You know, when you give, you can't outgive God. You can't. You can't outgive him. It's just a happy feeling when I went and paid my payment early. You know, and I thought, this is so much fun. It is fun. It's just fun to give. It really is. You're going to have a lot of blessings. The bus route, we have a lot of blessings. We have a lot of challenges, for sure. Like the one time I was on a big day, Mrs. Villalobos lives over here at Wilcox. I think it is Wilcox. She still rides, she doesn't ride the bus, but she comes to our Sunday school class. We sent all 5 of our kids to City Baptist. I mean, I did everything. Sold flowers. I sold brownies. I took up, people would help us out with that. We had all 5 in school. Well, we had a big day on the bus route. My husband was the bus director at that time. He gave me 2 buses. He gave me a goal of 200 on the bus route. Do you know we talk with our faces, ladies? Did you know that? In the meeting, everyone had 80, 70, 50, and mine's 200. I said, 200? He said, with an attitude like that, you'd be blessed to have 20. War. Oh, we worked. Everyone and their brother. Some of you may have worked it that day, but everyone and their brother worked the route right behind the church here. I've been on that route for 50 years. And all the way out. It's a narrow route, not a real wide route. And we did everything that day. I rode the shuttle, which every bus would fill up. And then I even went to north side of Chicago with the Villaloboses. I don't know if you ever heard this, Tammy. The Villaloboses and Ricky, who's a character. He's the oldest son. Oh, he's a character. He said, come on, Mrs. Moffitt, we're going back here, and it's a rough area. And I don't think a thing about it. I'm with somebody. And we went back to this garage, and he said, this is my uncle's place. Get up here on top of the table and look through the window. I says, he's going to shoot me. He said, no, they like you. I'm through the window, and the dad is laying there in the living room with several people. They got dressed and came. We went across the street to Grandma Villalobos, and she can't speak English. Un poquito español. Buenos dias, señorita. ¿Cómo está? Don't say anything else to me. Or I'll do this. Juro fidelidad a la bandera de los Estados Unidos y a la república que representa una sola nación, indivisible, con libertad y justicia para todos. Does anybody know what I just said? Pledge of Allegiance, mangled a little bit. But you know, they like that so much. They say, oh, yes, we'll come. And they come. Well, we went to this one house, and the guy was sleeping. But I didn't know that. Grandma Villalobos, I couldn't understand what she was saying. She says, JoJo, no, Yo-Yo, they call me. Yo-Yo. I said, I was waking up, getting the kids ready, and she goes, Yo-Yo. I said, you want me to go in there? Okay, I thought maybe get a diaper bag. There's a man sleeping. I said, levántate. Su aguaba al frente, Iglesia, Indiana. He goes, who are you? And I said, I'm Mrs. Moffitt. I'm the bus captain. He said, what do you want? I said, come on, it's a big day on our bus route. You get to come. He goes, I don't go to church. I said, but today you do. Come on. And he said, who are you? I said, I'm JoJo Moffitt. I said, who are you? He said, I am, he said his name, head of the Latin Kings gang in Chicago. What would you do? I was by myself. I said, Latin King, you were the king? I was homecoming queen in 1963, 64. I was a queen. And he said, what? She got up. Now he's showing me the shelf with all the bullet casements and all his gang. My husband says, why? One time I think he says, like, why do I let you loose? I'm not a dog, you know? And so he came. No, he didn't come. Another gang came. I play basketball with the gangs here in Hammond, and I usually beat them because I can shoot. And they said, yeah, church lady, we'll come tomorrow. I said, if I win the game horse, will you come? And they said, yeah, we'll come. And they did, because I beat them. They came the next day, but they didn't ride the bus. They walked over from over here on Columbia Avenue with a boombox. We're looking for Mrs. Muffin. They never know my name. Mrs. Muffin, we know where she is. She's right up there. My husband, when he saw him, I told him the story. He thought, oh, this is the group JoJo met yesterday. Sure enough, they came and sat down by us with the music on. I said, you have to turn the music down in church. Okay, Miss Muffin. And I said, and during the invitation, it was priceless. Our son Michael was on one side. I was on the other side. We just went down the row. Every single one of them walked forward and made a public profession of Jesus Christ. Where are they? That very next week, one boy on Michigan Street, about maybe a block and a half from Columbia on the corner there, right? They're buddies. We're playing roulette. Do you know what that is? If they put a bullet in the gun in their basement and they run it and then they pump it, he got shot right in the head. And that boy, by the way, went to, what is it called, the juvenile detention center they have here. And I'll never forget, we visited him, tried to befriend him, and that young man who was involuntary murder because they never proved it, they did let him out, and he became a bus worker on bus route 32. You'll have stories like that, too, if you stick during the rough times. Ways to care. I only have just a couple minutes left here. I just jotted this down one day. Smile. Pay someone a compliment. If someone says a negative, turn it around. Go soul winning. Take someone with you. Make an uplifting phone call to someone sick or going through a rough time. Make a list of the good qualities of the special people in your life and dwell on those qualities. Mrs. Evans used to say, if you were in classes, you would have heard this, who you think on, who you plan for, who you pray for is who you love. Isn't that something? If you're thinking good thoughts about your husband right now, you're going to love him more. But you think of negatives, it's reversal. Get excited, show it on your face. Fake it till you make it. Tell someone you love them. Write a love note. Text someone. Flirt with your husband. I had that happen at St. Margaret's Hospital. Talking beeper in his pocket. I talked to Brother Howells, and I said, I don't ever want to take Roy from the ministry, but I wish there was some private time we had. He says, call him home for lunch. Do you know what I mean? I said, oh, yes. So I got to thinking, okay. Hello, Roy, baby. This is JoJo. Why don't you come home for a hot lunch? But what I didn't know, it was a talking beeper. It went off in the ICU unit of St. Margaret's Hospital with a family and a man dying. As, hello, Roy, baby. This is JoJo. He couldn't get to the beeper, and he's hitting himself, trying to figure it out. And the lady said, what is that? He says, it's my wife. She's in my pocket. You know, you're going to have interesting situations that happen. Tell someone you love them. Write a love note. Be sunshine to all your path, especially when you don't feel like it. Take someone to lunch, your treat. Meet and eat without being asked. Serve meals willingly, cheerfully on a daily basis. Listen more, talk less. Bake extra, send it to someone who needs love and encouragement. Cook a meal for someone who's recently had surgery. For 47 days, we had a meal delivered in our house when I had surgery because I had complications and I didn't do so well. But praise the Lord, I can walk. I can walk up and down those stairs I couldn't just a few weeks ago. But God saw fit to heal me, and I'm so grateful. Work in a bus route or a Sunday school class, clean someone's house, wash their car, give away a personal item, someone who needs love and encouragement, leave an uplifting message to someone on a machine, buy good teaching materials, buy books going to be up again to sell, Buy my book. Then you'll like it, and I don't get credit for this. It all goes to Grace to Grow. Offer to babysit for someone. Wake up your husband with a sweet smile and a kiss and an I love you instead of saying, your breath smells. By the way, so does yours. And send a note to your child's teacher. Leave a love note in your husband's pillow. Do someone's wash, ironing that needs a booster shot. Pay for the toll of the car in front of you or behind you. A Dunkin' Donut. Anyone who lets me get it, I love Dunkin' Donut coffee. I love Dunkin' Donut. Pumpkin. It's just a little embarrassing when they know your voice. I think Roy was with me when I pulled in and I said, hello. And they said, oh, how are you today, JoJo? He said, they know you. I said, maybe they're guessing. I don't know. And oh, you want pumpkin coffee with cream and a little ice and a senior discount. And don't forget, it's 5%. It means the difference of life and death. I can't tell you how many people we've seen saved by just being a friend. Give a gospel tract every time you go through. The best news you'll ever have is to read this little message here. Where am I? Oh, it's time. Attend a child's event. Realize you don't have to do it, you get to. And I just thought I'd say this. Smile through the tears. My worst day was ever in my life. Leave your world and enter the world of others. Try to look for the needs of someone else and go one step further and meet those needs. Build people. Don't break them. Love people before it's too late. You can be a burden or bear a burden. When a need arises, I don't say, what's in it for me, but what can I do to help you? I'm working on this. I can hurt people or help them. The choice is mine. I can sing, pray, and rejoice. All three lift my spirit and turn the spirit of others. I cry out to God to meet my every need. He can take the painful away when others cannot. He loves me, and he truly is the only one who can help me through the down times. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thy own understanding. In all the ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. And it goes on, be not wise in thine own eyes. Fear the Lord and depart from evil. I just put here, yes, life's like a carousel. We don't want to ride the horse that is stationary, a carousel. It does sit still and does nothing. But I choose to ride the horse that goes up and down, up and down. Sure, it'll have breakdowns, disappointments, and reversals, but oh, what fun. It truly is life is a merry-go-round. I love that. I plan to stay on my horse to the end of the ride. I trust that I'll be able to say that, and we'll all live happily ever after. God bless you, ladies.